Mönchshof Landbier.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Work has finished for the day. It's time for a beer. And I've got yet another bottle of Mönchshof beer. And this is their Landbier. Now, I don't know how I've ended up with them, but I've got lots of beer from the Kulmbacher Brewery. These are the ones who brew Mönchshof, they brew the Kapuziner, and they brew the earthy range of beers. They're like I wouldn't say they're an umbrella company because they brew their own beer as well, the Kulmbacher beer. But they're, as I always say in my other reviews on their beers, they're like a Marston's type brewery. They have taken over a few other breweries, but they've kept their name. I think Green King do the same sort of thing. They've kept the name, they've kept the brand of the beer, they've just brewing it all in the same brewery. And this Mönchshof lot isn't too bad at all. Now, I'm assuming that they use the same recipes because I have to say the Mönchshof stuff is better than the Kapuziner stuff that I've tried. But I've only tried a few, so I'm not going to make a hard and fast rule or a hard and fast judgment on what them beers are like until I've tried them. Well, most of them anyway. I don't think I'm going to be able to try them all because I haven't got all of them. But this one looks quite interesting, and I am always interested in Landbier. Landbier can be a bit hit or miss. What Landbier is, it's beer that is local to the region, that is brewed for the population of that region. It's the style of beer that they like. So it does vary from region to region. Probably one of my favourite Landbiers is the Potz Landbier, which is from a place called Münster, which is in northern Germany. This lot, Kulmbacher, they're in Bavaria. And I've had a couple of Bavarian Landbiers before, and I have to say, they haven't been that great. So, some of them have, that's a lie. I'll retract that. Some of them have been quite good, others not so good, if you know what I mean. So, I'm not going to go into the history of the brewery because on every single review I've done of the Kapuziner beer, of the Mönchshof beer, I've given you a little bit about the Kulmbacher brewery. I've reviewed the Kulmbacher Pils, and I gave a long history of the brewery as well. So I'm not going to do it in every video. There is absolutely no point. You are just going to be bored shitless. You just want to know what this beer tastes like. So let's investigate this beer. Right, 500ml bottle, 5.4%. There is no brew sheet on these websites, on the Mönchshof website, unfortunately. So it's all I know is it's conforms to the Reinheitsgebot, as it should do, coming from Bavaria. And on here it's got written on the back water, barley malt, hops, and hop extract. So yeah, it conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. What will make this is the yeast. So far, a lot of all the Mönchshof stuff I've tried has been really good. So let's see if this is any good. One of them flip top lids. Let's get it in the glass. Dogs are terrorising again. There it is in the glass. Looks really nice. Straw colour. God, I can smell it from here. There was a lot of malt character coming from that. It smells very sweet too. Nice bit of bitterness on there as well. I think it's coming from the hops. Earthy style bitterness. It smells reasonably good. There's a lot of, I think hay is the only way I can describe it, or cut grass. Smells intriguing. Let's get it down my fat Gregory Peck. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Oh, that's really nice. It does remind me, I tried yesterday the Kulmbacher Export. It reminds me of that a hell of a lot. And this has got traditional export beer written on the label. You can see that, see the red mark there now. It's also got Echt Brau Spezialitan. I think that's how it's pronounced. That means real brew speciality or real special beer. Mild Würziges, which I think means mild flavours. Very similar to the export from the Kulmbacher Brewery. I'm wondering if they've rebottled it. I think they're using the same yeast. It's got that very sweet flavour. There's a lot of hop bitterness on the back end though. A lot of earthiness, a lot of bitter earth and black pepper. And I suppose when you think about it, if they've done what Green King do, and they're using their own yeast for all these beers, it's going to give them like a signature type flavour. And that flavour is going to be dominant in all their beers, certainly the beers that have got similar ingredients. So this Landbier, I'm imagining, has got very similar style ingredients to the Kulmbacher Export. It's quite nice, I have to say. Typically German. You can just tell this is German. It's got that honey sweetness from the yeast. It's got very nice Munich and Pilsner malt, I think, that's gone into that. I know they use Munich, Pilsner and Vienna malt in that brewery. So it's got one of them three that's in there. That combination with the yeast goes really well. Then you've got that Hallertauer hop character on the finish, which gives it a bitter, earthy and spicy black pepper finish. But it's so good and full-bodied as well. And it's amazing what they do with just these four ingredients. You know, I make this point so many times, but when I see British brewers who put adjunct after adjunct into their beer in an attempt to get it to taste somewhat flavoursome, the Germans just, you know, four ingredients and that's it, and they manage to produce the best beer in the world that, you know, hasn't got any nasties in it. And it's a shame Britain doesn't have, or the UK doesn't have, a purity law, because as it stands now they can throw in basically what they like, and they are. That's why British beer, I mean, it's always been hit and miss, British beer, but there really are some good ones. And when you do come across them, they're, you know, they really do stand out, because there is a fucking absolute mountain of shit beer that is produced in the United Kingdom. And don't get me wrong, it's not all like that. There are some absolute belters that come from the UK. But my point is that the Germans, unless they've massively fucked up, and there's some cheap beer brands out there as well. The Oettinger is one that immediately springs to mind. You know, that's not a great beer, but, you know, at least you know what you're getting in it. And there is some bad German beer. I'm not blowing smoke up the Germans' arse, because they do some bad beer. For me, Erdinger, it may not be everyone's taste. I know this is all about taste, but Erdinger do some absolute fucking dog shit, and that conforms to the Reinheitsgebot. So it is a, you know, I'm not saying it's impossible to fuck it up in Germany, because they have, but it does amaze me that the Germans just use them 4 ingredients and produce great beer like this. This is really good, but it does remind me of the Kulmbacher export that I tried yesterday. But it's really nice. It tastes absolutely gorgeous. Obviously it's bottom fermented. It does taste like a lager, your average lager over here. No, that's a lie. It doesn't taste like your average lager over here. To your average lager drinker, that would just taste like another lager. But you can tell the difference. I mean, it's just there straight away, that lovely, sweet yeast and malt combination with the bitter back end on that. It's lovely. You know, and that's why I love this style of beer. And this isn't even the best one. You know, there's better beers than this out there. This is really good. I have to say, I have not been disappointed by Mönchshof. I tried their Bock. Was it a Doppelbock or a... Yeah, it was a Doppelbock. That was surprisingly nice. Really did like that. And this is quite nice as well, I have to say. I've got no complaints. I mean, look, that was a pint when I started, and as I'm talking, this is just going down like fucking no one's business. Lovely, absolutely gorgeous. So what's the verdict on Mönchshof Landbier? Yeah, it's really nice, but it doesn't surprise me, because Mönchshof do some really good, well, Kulmbacher in that brand, that Mönchshof brand, which they have taken over. They have produced an absolutely great beer. That for me is a 9 out of 10. Now, that might sound harsh after all the, you know, the plaudits I've been giving it, but it's not the best land beer I've tasted. It's not the best beer, German beer I've tasted, but I'll tell you something, that is not bad at all. And again, I am impressed by the Mönchshof stuff. The Kulmbacher stuff was nice, don't get me wrong, and this was very similar to the export. I know I've made that point before, but I'm going to say it one last time. But that's consistently good. And I've got another Mönchshof beer in the fridge. It's their Hell, or their Helles. So I'm going to try that next and see how that compares. But this is an absolute winner for me. That is a 9 out of 10. That is definitely recommended. That is under £3, so it's a bargain. You know, if you're a little bit strapped for cash and you can't afford the more expensive German stuff, look, check out Mönchshof. They're not bad at all. And remember, beer is working class champagne.